It was October of 1979, and I was no longer enjoying my job as Baba's appointment secretary. I was seeing more and more things I didn't like among the people who surrounded Baba. Too often, I had to deal with intrigues. Just as Baba always said, the world was in the ashram just as it was everywhere else. I wanted out, but I didn't know any other way to be close to Baba. Toward the end of the month, Baba's valet called to say that Baba wanted to meet me at his house. He was sitting in a dark room. In that darkness, his brown eyes were brilliantly blue and pierced right through me. Without once raising his voice, he spent over an hour quietly telling me how disappointed he was in me. He was able to list everything someone else close to him had done wrong. Things I hadn't stopped from happening. This person had been indulged by people around her, and they concealed her secret activities from me, so I often had no way of knowing exactly what she was up to. You knew better, Baba said, and you didn't stop her or say anything. I thought she was pure, I said. Baba said I was only digging myself in deeper by defending myself. In my lower mind, I thought how Baba had known what she was doing and hadn't stopped her either. But that wasn't the point. He was right. I had felt her secretiveness and had never liked it. I should have learned to trust what I feel and speak up. Though I didn't realize it in the moment, Baba was freeing me by making me face what I had been unwilling to confront. When he was finished, he said, "Okay, you can go now." I knew at that moment that my job was gone. I wouldn't be Baba's appointment secretary anymore. That night, I had to do the evening program as usual. Later, I sat in my room, in the waking state, my eyes wide open. I experienced the complete dissolution of the physical universe. The experience in and of itself did not last long. It was not meditative, but it was a breakthrough into reality, both the dropping of a veil and the sense that a crack had opened in the physical plane, revealing what lies beyond. All the props that I normally called the world, walls, floors, lights, tables, even my body, dissolved. I saw both brilliant light and a luminous darkness. It was the void, it was the infinite, and it was all one. There was no lower self to grasp it. The experience didn't last long, but long enough to change everything. The I that I had been earlier in the day would never fully return. By morning, I feared I might go crazy. The non-duality of that experience was hard for my lower mind to cope with. I was physically shaking and very tenuous, but I knew from all I had been through in my sadhana that my task was to ground myself and that the ashram dharma would help. I went to morning chant and then went straight to the kitchen to do seed cleaning. Somebody found me in the kitchen and told me that Baba had been looking for me everywhere for more than half an hour. I was taken to the main desk in what had once been the hotel lobby and directed to pick up a phone. Baba was waiting at the other end of the line. "Where were you?" "I was working, Baba, in the kitchen." I did what I did because I had to. I love you. You are my daughter. Now forget everything. I started sobbing. "Where are you?" Baba asked. "I'm in the lobby." "Don't cry in public." He hung up, and I went to my room and cried. As months went by, the impression left by the experience of the void remained with me all the time. It was the background of everything I looked at. Living in its presence, I gradually recovered my ability to function efficiently. 10 years later, when I had the experience again, it was pure bliss. Over the ensuing months, Baba took care of me behind the scenes, but in public he pretended he wasn't speaking to me at all. People were awful to me. They assumed that I had committed some terrible offense, though they didn't know what. From a worldly standpoint, I became a nobody. Through my practice, I had learned enough to know that I was working through a huge karmic lesson. I didn't defend myself, didn't tell anyone, didn't offer any stories. I knew that if I shared the experience, I would diminish it and eventually lose it altogether. Instead, I disregarded what people thought of me and continued to practice what I had learned from Baba, boring inward and staying one-pointed on the heart. In November, Baba stayed at the ashram in Boston. The weather was cold and gray, the leaves had turned, and the rooms in the ashram were cold. I was standing alone by the window of an unoccupied room in the ashram, nothing but bunks and cold bare floors. In front of the window was a tall space heater that had never been turned on. The room was cold. Baba walked in and stood silently beside me, both of us looking out the window. After a while, he put his arm around me. "Hot, isn't it?" he said. "Yes, Baba," I replied. "Hot." There we were, standing by a cold space heater in a cold room in a cold city, but Baba knew that inside I was cooking. A few silent minutes later, he walked out, but he had gently let me know that he knew what I was going through and would continue to care for me as the karmic drama around and within me played itself out.